Stay. Our hearts were made for these times. Thank you, Robert. So, so beautiful. Right. Our theme for this month is freedom from fear and error thinking. Freedom from fear. And the topic for this day is untethered from fear. Now, I don't know what I was dreaming, but last Monday morning, I woke up just kind of stressed about the week. I mean, I knew that there was this big event coming up, and I was kind of stressed about the details, even though other people were taking care of it. Okay, this is fear, this is not reality. So I was stressed about that, and I was stressed about the elections the next day, and I was stressed about my favorite cousin Donna Kay coming, and how were we going to entertain her? And now, so it was just one of those mornings where I woke up just kind of not very comfortable with myself and in the grip of stress. And all this stuff and more was running, I don't want to give you the whole list, folks, was running through my head. And it wasn't just running through my head. It was running through my body. I could feel the stress in my body. I can feel that my shoulders were up by my ears, and I could just absolutely feel that I was hardly even breathing at all. Fear. Fear. Have you all felt that before? That kind of, I think it's pretty universal. When you're not quite sure how things are going to work out, and when you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to do what you need to do and remember what you need to remember, and come across and share with people as you would like to. Fear. Let me see. Now, I've heard it used as an acronym for forget everything and run. Forget everything and run, fear. And that's what I wanted to do on Monday morning. I wanted to forget everything and run, absolutely. Then as I was doing my morning exercises, I started to fret about this talk that I'm doing right now, because I knew that last week, the end of the week, was going to be really busy. This was Monday morning. The talk wasn't done, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I said, well, I better think about what the title is. And okay, the title is Untethered from Fear. Oh shit, what am I going to say about this? That was unintended. But I think that was actually the quote. So I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to say about that? And then, folks, I laughed. I thought, oh my goodness, how perfect is it that I get to talk this Sunday about being stuck in fear, and here I am right in the middle of it. Right in the middle of it. And what I know is that I have tools. What I know is that there are ways to move through this and get ourselves in a place of joy again. It was pretty funny, It was like, oh, geez, how perfect could this be? So just to check and see if I'm giving the right talk to the right people, can any of you relate to this? If so, just shake your head or, oh. I didn't think I was going to be the only one, but I did want to check. So thank you. So as soon as I realized that I was stuck in fear, I started to think about what I can do, because I know how to get out of this. I've done it a zillion times. So I stopped and took some deep breaths. And then I noticed that right in that moment, all was well. There was nothing I had to worry about. All was well. And then remember that I didn't have to take care of everything myself, because there are some amazing people, and I'd like to especially thank Debbie for doing so many of the details of the event on Friday night. So I remembered that, I am not doing this alone. There's my assistant minister. There's this whole community, and we don't have to do stuff alone. So I stopped and remembered that, and that started just kind of calming me down. And then as I moved into my reading for the morning, I laughed once again as I read the daily reading from Ernest Holmes's book, 365 Science of Mind. It said, "Knowing the truth, we are free from fear." Knowing the truth, we're free from fear. So today's topic is untethered from fear. Now, according to dictionary.com, tethered is defined as confined or restricted with or as if with a rope or chain. Loved your choice of songs. So bound by a chain and tethered, held back. And so to be untethered from fear means to be unbound by it, to be free, to not have it holding us back. Because it certainly can do that at times. As human beings, there are lots of things we're afraid of. We're often afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of people and things that are different from us. That's one we all get to work with. Many people are afraid of dying. And some of us are afraid of not having enough. Not having enough money, not having enough love, not having enough of the things that bring us joy in our lives. They're just all kinds of fear. And sometimes we're afraid of being seen and found wanting, being not enough. Not being all that we want to be, not showing up in all of the wonderful ways that we want to show up. So fear can energize and activate us, but it can also paralyze us and hold us back from doing something about whatever it is we're afraid of. I mean, we can't fix anything if we're just sitting there afraid. So we have to get untethered from fear in order for us to step forth and do what we have come here to do, to work in the world, to work in our communities, to work wherever we are drawn to work. And of course, fear can be a friend. Fear can be an amazing teacher. My friend, Reverend Michelle Scavetta, said this. So often, she said this, so often we feel a call to expand into new territory and we allow fear or uncertainty to hold us back. What we don't realize is that it's during those times that we are at the tipping point of our own growing edge, and it's imperative that we lean into the resistance and the uncertainty and do it anyway, whatever it is for us. She goes on to say, a dear friend and colleague once told me that if my vision didn't scare me, then it wasn't big enough. It's time to grow. It's time to soar. It's time to allow our lights to shine unapologetically. The world needs us. The world needs each one of us. And this graphic came with what Reverend Michelle sent out, and I like the way it says it. If it scares you and excites you at the same time, it's a clear sign that you should do it. I mean, we've got those scary, scary things. And of course, fear can be good for us. It can say, don't you dare do that. Don't do another relationship just like the last one. We get that guidance first. Of course, the human mind is capable of so much. I mean, the art, the beauty, the music, the joy that is in this world, all of the literature, those things that have come from our minds that are just amazing, that make us who we are. And then there are times when our minds, our imaginations, because we've got some pretty good imaginations, can lead us in that other way, can lead us in that place of fear. Sometimes our minds are hopelessly out of touch with our inner wisdom, with our inner guidance. I have certainly found that to be true. So how can we deal with fear? I just happen to have some suggestions. First of all, we need to acknowledge it. We need to recognize it. Because fear shows up for each of us differently. So how does fear show up for you? What are the red flags? What are the things you notice? I mean, for me, it's certainly the physical stress and noticing my shoulders up at my ears like that and the not breathing thing. But what are the signs for you that let you know that you're afraid or have anxiety? There are lots of ways that fear shows up, but in our society, a lot of us experience it as anxiety and worry. Sometimes we're clear about what that anxiety is, and sometimes we're not. Because usually, when we're feeling anxious, it's because we're afraid. We're afraid that we won't know what to do, or we won't know how to do it, or we won't be appreciated, or recognize that we won't have enough love or money or opportunities or fill in the blank. And that causes our anxiety. And of course, closely related to anxiety is worry. Have you noticed that when we worry, we're usually worrying about something in the past that we can't do anything about anyway, or something in the future that may not have happened and that may never happen? We're often and usually not worrying about what is right here and right now. On Monday, I was experiencing things like, what if the election doesn't go the way I want it to? There are worries like, what if I don't get this job or opportunity? What if I get sick? Oh, what if I don't get well? Those are the things that we tend to worry some about. What if? What if? What if? And fear also shows up as greed, clinging to things. You may know somebody who has held on to a relationship that was, not so sweet because they were afraid that if they let that relationship go, they would never get another one. Or people who have plenty of money and yet are just holding on to it like they can't spend a bit because they're afraid they won't get any more. Worry. Even just acknowledging and recognizing when we're in that place of fear can start to shift it. It's like, oh, this is where I am, just like the other morning for me. God, I'm stuck in fear. I can do something about this. Yeah. Once we've recognized that we're stuck in fear, we can stop feeding our fears. Because we have all known people, probably no one here, but we have all known people who have started this fear thing and then instead of moving out of it have just looked for more reasons to be afraid. That, like I say, no one here. In our philosophy, we teach, change your thinking, change your life. We know that what we think about, what we focus on, what we dwell on, we get more of. Now, I remember my Aunt Ann and Uncle Jack, and Aunt Ann would worry sometimes. And Uncle Jack, in his own wise way, would say things like, why don't you worry about it a little bit? Maybe something will develop. Sometimes we do that. So if you're if you're in a place where you're having those fears and those seeds of oh geez, this is bad and it's going to get worse, we have to look and we have to be aware that those seeds, those thoughts that we're nurturing, those thoughts that we are dwelling on, make a difference in our lives, an absolute difference. So once you've acknowledged your fear and stopped feeding it, there are some powerful and effective tools that you can use to move out of it. It's being aware of the present moment, gratitude, and taking action. So the other morning I took some deep breaths. I noticed that at that very moment in my life was not only good, my life was great. So stopping to be in the present moment, being aware of what's really true for us, not what we're afraid of, but what is really true for us in each moment. And then, I know that for me and for many of us, one of the best things we can do to get us out of that fear or any other really difficult place is gratitude. I mean, as I started to list things that I'm grateful for, sweet Mary, my family, my community, the opportunity that I have in the world, all that I have, I just couldn't stay in that place of fear. So gratitude takes us right out of it. And within each of us, there's the inner wisdom. When we decide to act, when we decide to contact that wisdom that's within us, to, okay, life, what is it I'm supposed to do now? Am I supposed to go out and work in the political arena? Am I supposed to work at the food bank? What is mine to do? As we look for that guidance, we are given not only the guidance we need, but we're given courage. Courage counteracts fear. Courage helps us move into action instead of just staying in that place of fear. Nelson Mandela said this about courage. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And so the other morning I asked for guidance. And instantly, I had some ideas about what I could do. Oh yeah, there's those phone calls I could make. Oh, there are some emails that I could answer that will take care of some of this stuff. There's some people I could talk to. There are some things I could check into. I also got the wisdom, the guidance to not pay attention until the election results were in. Okay, so boy, my stress went way down there. It's like, I'm not watching this all day. I'm just not going to do it. Yeah. And I remembered that I didn't have to take responsibility for entertaining my cousin, who has been entertaining herself for decades, Yeah, She always entertains us when we go to San Francisco, but yeah, she can take care of herself. And so in remembering those things and remembering what was true, I definitely was able to just let go of some of that stuff. And then I remembered that we transcend fear by moving into our heart, by noticing what's really, really here. Macrina Whitaker said, I stand before what is with an open heart, and with an open heart I dwell in possibility. With an open heart I dwell in possibility. So we don't have to stay tethered to fear. As conscious beings, we are at choice. We get to make the choices in our life, choices that will take us out of that place of fear into the place of joy and action, doing what it is that's ours to do. With every thought, we choose life or death. We choose positive or negative thoughts. We choose to say yes or no. And whatever it is that we say yes or no to is absolutely manifested or magnetized or grows in our life in an amazing way. Ernest Holmes said, "When we purposely center our attention on love, we shift our vibration. As we intend to move from fear to love, we contribute to the upliftment of all of life." And so when you do this thing, when you're doing this thing of moving out of fear or out of worry or out of whatever, you're not just doing it for yourself. It's affecting the people around you, your vibrations, your wishes, what you decide to dwell on. That's the energy that you're putting out. That's the gift that you are giving to the world. Ideally, the kind of gift we want to give. I don't know anybody who's never been caught in the web of fear. If you are one of those people, I want to talk to you later for about 9 hours. Okay, yeah. It seems to be normal for us as human beings. And at times it keeps us safe or shows us our next steps. And at times it shows us what we're being called into. I am not suggesting in any way or even thinking it's possible. I'm not saying don't ever be in fear. That's impossible, folks. We're human beings. But when we recognize our fear, when we make conscious choice to let it energize us instead of paralyzing us, then we can make a difference. There's so much within every one of us. Anger and frustration and fear. Oh, but there's love and joy. There's absolute wonder and strength and light. That's what we want to be putting out into the world. So what will you choose to have expand and grow in your life this week? What will you nurture? What will you focus on? What will you choose? My prayer for each of us is that we go forward being able to share our light and being able to share our love and being able to act where we are led to act, to do in the world what's ours to do to make a difference. And now, as practitioners stand with me in high consciousness, let's move into prayer. Whoops. Life, this amazing thing that moves through us, that enlivens us. We can call it God, we can call it spirit, we can call it life, we can call it just the intelligence that is everywhere. We can call it the field that is what everything is made of and what everything exists within. I call this God. I know that whatever I do, wherever I go, I can never be separate from that because it is the very substance from which my body is made. It is the very intelligence that beats my heart, that digests my food, that allows me to walk and sing and dance. All that I am is Godness. I'm not all of it, of course, but all that I am is made of that one life, that one substance, that one love, that one joy. And so knowing that, I know that I get to use the creative power of the universe to speak my word into this law of love that only knows how to say yes. And so what I claim for each one here as we go through this week is that we are led, we are guided, we are blessed, that the very path before us is filled with love. That should there be times when we drop into that place of fear, where we feel tethered by fear, that we are just absolutely reminded that we can be in the present moment, that we can be grateful, that we can go for guidance to our inner wisdom, which is the divine. And so knowing that great things are in store for each one here, each one hearing my voice. I just know that surprises that are delightful pop up for each of us. Things that remind us of our light, remind us that we have come here to share our light and our love. And so knowing that this is the truth, I am grateful, grateful, grateful. I let it go, I let it be, and invite you to say with me, and so it is.